Hey guys, just a quick intro to let you know I'm so excited for you to get to listen to Tom and Kelsey Wauchope as they talk about really moving from that space of burnout to peace. We are so thankful they're here today as a 1-4 couple to help us to see how they were able to slow down and move from a frenetic pace, get a life of rest and some travel going, and abandon the hard place of where they were in that unstoppable sort of go, go, go energy. It's just too much, and our culture is pushing us so much to hit burnout. Me and Hannah were even beeped at this morning on our jog really rudely when we wouldn't go when there was a pedestrian sign. You know the drill. You've had it too. It's time for us to settle a bit. It's time for our culture to listen, to lean in, and to try to slow down in the midst of all the frenetic pacing. I'm sure you get that. I'm sure you need it too. So take a deep breath. Let's welcome them. You may know them from their hugely successful Instagram account, The Whole of Us. But today we're just here for a deep dive conversation. You're going to love what they have to share about how they found each other again after relationship burnout, how they're finding themselves after work burnout. And I know there's something very rich for you to take too. And also you can check out the show notes if you want to be part of the midlife NES Summit that Tyler Zach is hosting as well right now, because that's a really rich moment for us to say, okay, we can drop tech, drop the busyness to some degree, but also meet each other in online spaces and do relational work and care there too. So we have that for you in the show notes. And we also have a special movie really premiering that is beautiful that one of our Enneagram and Marriage people is actually in this weekend, Soul on Fire. So I hope that you'll check that out. We have Rachel and Tim Kessler, who are extras in the movie. So much fun. It's a family friend of theirs who has this movie. And Wes actually was like, oh my gosh, John Corbin's in this really good movie coming up. And I'm like, yes, our friends are in it. So I will put that in the show notes too, because that's premiering, if you're listening live, this coming weekend of the October 10th time. So really excited for all we have going on at both the summit as well as with this fun movie. And I'm just glad you're here for this beautiful time with the whole of us right now as you guys come into more wholeness. Let's talk to them. So nice to have you guys. Thank you so much, Tom and Kelsey, for joining us on the Enneagram and Marriage podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you. I just love getting to talk with you already, even before we got on. You're warm, you're real, you're vulnerable, and we're going deep today. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourselves? I have loved, my daughter and I have loved following you on Instagram. She's a junior in college, and obviously I'm a mama, and we've homeschooled, and we are in the trenches, but like a little bit older kids now. My youngest is 13, but we
Yeah.
see you out there adventuring, and we want to hear all about your life. But first, how about just that intro of, for others who might not know you, who you are, your Enneagram types?
Oh, so good. Yeah, well, we're Tom and Kelsey. We are known as The Whole of Us on social media. Our life radically changed a couple years ago when we sold our healthcare practice and booked a one-way ticket to explore the world. So we rented out our house, packed up our bags, and left to Thailand.
And took our two daughters, who at the time were 6 and 8 years old. They're now 11 and 9. And we've basically spent the last 3 years traveling to 20 plus countries in 5 different continents, and had the wildest adventures discovering how incredibly beautiful the world is, alongside of our gorgeous girls that just continue to surprise us.
Yes, while trying to figure out how to, Tom explains it as we had this beautiful Lego house.
The box set, we built it perfectly. It was sitting on the shelf. Everything was nice and perfect as it should be.
Yeah, and then we smashed it to the ground, added in a ton more colors and shapes, and
rebuild what life looks like.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like such a, like the 7 arrow of you. Well, tell us your Enneagram types too, and then I'll analyze for a second.
So I'm a 1 with very strong 9 and 2 wings.
And I'm a 4 with a wing 5. So that is so fun for Tom.
It's great. I love deep emotions.
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And it's so good because we need somebody who's different from us. I
Yeah.
see that Tom brings the seven energy of the adventure too, which we know are
Mm.
ones when they're healthy, they do that. So, like you guys said, you had a healthcare practice and you
Mhm.
needed some adventure.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah, tell me more about that, how that worked with your personality types. Of course,
Oh
that was
my
just
gosh.
one observation.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we should say that the intention of the travel was to definitely find adventure. It was to pursue connection and healing. So Tom was very, very burnt out.
yeah.
And
I'd followed the typical one path of like go to university, get the professional career, do the right things, buy the business, and had hit all those goals beautifully, and then reached a point where the internal drivers were actually creating more chaos inside of me and hit absolute burnout. And so that was what prompted selling the business. And being at home for a couple of months was nice, but at the same time, everybody was trying to put you back in that box. And because I'd performed so beautifully, everybody was going, what's you've stopped performing? Get back to your performing role. So we
yeah.
realized that we couldn't stay where we were. And so we thought, okay, let's see what's different. I'd grown up overseas, and so
Tom was like, let's travel. And I was like, what a terrible idea. We're in a mental health crisis. Let's throw in more instability, strip away friends and family and home. But what ended up happening, we went on this crazy emotional health journey, and God was so kind. He very gently led us on a process of healing, which initially started with a physical healing, just removing us from surrounding. You know, we were initially in Thailand, Vietnam. It's
busy and intense and like an overwhelm for the senses.
But it was also we were outside and we're in the ocean, and it was very, very kind to our bodies. And when we got to Europe, that's when the emotional healing really started. And Tom started really understanding your drivers and your performances and the dependency on.
And we also started working out our own dynamic of hero and victim, which is a very, very easy one for that kind of 1-4 dynamic to fall into. Of like, I can fix all things and do things right. So that's of course I'll come and save you. And you being the emotional 4 was going, I need someone to see me and nurture me and love me.
Oh yeah.
And so we reached a point where I finally went, actually, I can't fix you. I can't do everything for you. You've got to be able to do that yourself. And it was kind of this like spark that then, initially it unraveled us further. And
oh my gosh.
Of course.
Yeah. I think we were just like this realization, one, we weren't the people we married. And that when you're not now feeling the need that I wanted in our marriage and vice versa, and both of those hero and victim make sense and they're protectors. And so there was compassion for that. But suddenly I'm like, well, what's the point? And I think we had to, we are Christians, we love Jesus, but we needed to sit with like, there is an option here. We could get divorced, like, and just holding that released any resentment, because it created a choosing in that, when you have young children and life is busy and you're just going through the motions, you can lose yourself a little bit, or it's not quite the right word, but you're just distracted, I guess. You're surviving. And we'd been surviving for so long. So I think when Tom started to have more emotions, it did two things. It created less safety because suddenly he wasn't the pillar. But the beauty of it is it actually in the long run has created more safety, because he can sit with me so much more in my forism and my authenticity and emotion, because he now has lived experience and isn't afraid of his emotions, and it goes the other way. So it has actually been the most healing thing ever for our marriage, the process, but brutal, because your whole foundation just cracked and shifted.
Wow. This speaks so much to the healthy journey that, of course, like you said, first put you in more disarray, because it just does that when you knock the Lego set over. But I love that you guys I think you're going to be able to walk us through what that looked like to some degree. And we want to leave your privacy, of course, too. But it's so important that people know that first part when we shift and change to the health. I put this in my book, but it can't be overstated.
Mm.
Our partner will not usually shift in a good direction with us because they're used to us in that old role.
Right.
You were used to him protecting you, letting you be a victim. He's used
Yep.
to you putting him up on the pedestal, but then getting mad at him for being perfect-ish. So
Yep.
tell me more about like what it looked like for you guys to look at your own pieces and go, oh, I have to rise up. I can't just be down here in melancholy thinking and wait for him to save me. And I have to stop trying to pretend I'm perfect and be that good boy image. And maybe you can both speak a little bit to some of the work you individually did there.
It was such a gift, you falling apart, because it was so disempowering for so many years. It
Yeah.
sounds so beautiful having the hero, perfect husband,
Yes.
but it meant I never had to rise up. I never had to see what strength was inside me. Of course, there was elements of that throughout our history, but
Right.
the journey, it was really fascinating because we did do some marriage counseling, but in the end, and I recommend it. It's a great place to start. But in the end, it was very clear that we each had to go away and do our own work. And
Yeah.
and what ended up, so that practically looked like understanding our enneagrams, understanding our triggers around, our core needs and wounds that were showing up. That was painful because it meant you had to sit with your story, unpack your story through a lens of compassion, but also ownership. And the victim in me, that was hard because
Yes.
I do have a lot of trauma in my past. So it did make sense why I was the way. I think it all makes sense for why we all are the way we are. But to own so much of the story, and now I had contributed to things and perpetuated behaviors. And
I would say like exactly what you said before with the reality of recognizing that my hero-ness actually was disempowering you, confronted that desire to do the right thing in me, and suddenly it was like, oh, I can be as good and as perfect as possible, but that's actually the opposite of what's going to be helpful in this situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be less
It was a
perfect.
conscious, it was a conscious choosing in, really, wasn't it?
It really, it removed the ability for me to perform into that space. I suddenly I couldn't perform into it. I actually had to just be present with you and
you
and with me.
Yeah.
And that's been a delightfully uncomfortable journey.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think was always going to continue to wrestle with to a degree. And even conversations we were having last night of just wrestling with the like propensity in me to go, oh no, that's the right thing, but it's just my idea of what the right thing is. And I actually haven't aligned that to a higher authority and taken it to God. It's just like, no, this is just what I believe is right. And so I'm going to do that.
And the authenticness in me is like, what?
Yeah.
Like the simplest example of going to the beach, and it's a dog beach, but if no one's around, you've got to have your dog on the lead. If no one's around, Tom will be like, oh, we could just let the dog be free. I'm like, no, we can't do that. Like, what are you talking about?
But there's no one around.
It's like so basic, but but I think really unpacking those deep core
but so within that then it was taking even a moment like that and going, oh man, it makes so much sense. We're both reacting in this way, and being able to see that and both being able to then compromise on, okay, what does it look like for the dog to have some more freedom and for me to actually just release that it's okay for the dog to be on the lead as well. Like we can do both of those things, and both of us have grown in our ability to see the other's trigger and then go, I can come and meet you there.
But the only way you can do that is if you've taken care of yourself and your needs first.
I was thinking the same thing. Like if he did not leave this stressful healthcare practice, it's like I always think of the type 1. This one person said it once. They said, and I can't remember his name, but he was on a podcast I was listening to, and he said it's like there's a gas in the room, and it's like someone, all they have to do is light a match, and then the one's fuse just blows. And that's not always true. If a 1 is really well connected to their artistry and their 4 arrow and their wings, and they're able to have their fun adventures in their 7. But I'm getting the sense that the way your life was framed before, it just really wasn't giving you room to even go to these deeper places. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know how I mean, that's where it ends up. Like when you decided to sell and we needed to get out, and there was mental health pain creeping in, because naturally there is a sense of hopelessness when all of your protectors start failing, and you realize that you're just a man. I mean, my responsibility is I treated you like a god. Like it was such an unfair position to have put him in. That required a lot of really going after that, didn't it? Like, forgotten the question.
It took me crumbling properly for you to release that. And then actually starting to say, no, I can't look after you there.
We both, in our unhealthy state, go to abandonment. So that has probably been our biggest growth or pain point, because both of us retreat to some degree. You dissociate and I just leave.
That's making sense, because you're his 4 arrow, and of course outside of Enneagram too, but even within, I can see the negative space a 1 goes to is the 4, and then you're a 4 already, so you're going down into the trenches. So that's a really good observation you made, that you both go there, and so just a little differently, but at least you have a bit of compassion to know, oh, we're both in our abandonment space.
Yeah, well, we had seen someone who was just so wise, and he said, "Oh, there's a third person in this marriage, and it's abandonment." And it turned it from us going against each other to us having a common enemy, was this sense of abandonment. And so when it does show up now, like practically, I need a bit more space to go through the motion, and I journal a lot, and
that's good.
We get down to whatever is the need underneath it, and then asking Holy Spirit in, and inviting love in. But it's very difficult to like, even the concept of letting love in, that's such a slow process and can just be like 1% at the time. And when we first started this journey, that there were cracks of love coming in. And it's sort of crazy, because we'd be in, say, Greece on a beach, which is a dream, and we would just I wouldn't say depressed, like so in so much pain. I'm pinging everywhere a little bit now, but it just goes to show that there isn't necessarily a grass is greener. The work is the work. Like it just takes time. The process is the process.
I think you're so right there. Like it's where 3 years into having sold the business and kind of stepped away into different life, and still like having really fruitful conversations even last night, that we're kind of going, there's still so much beauty coming out of this moment and this time, and the slowness has felt so uncomfortable. So like, despite like, yes, we've done lots, but it doesn't feel like it's achieving much, and which goes against so much of the internal drivers of I have to have goals, and we're setting and we're moving and we're doing things.
We were always that couple.
With the 10-year plan, which we nailed.
Woo, go us.
But not having that at the moment, and kind of just going, okay, what does today look like? And probably one of the most beautiful things that's coming out of that is our relationship with our girls, and seeing them actually able to be present in their lives, and not feeling rushed and hurried. And even this morning, the joys of homeschool, we drove to the beach before jumping on this call, and we're sitting there watching the other kids at the bus stop going, oh man, I'm so grateful we don't have to rush out the door. I'm so grateful that we're not getting up and missing these opportunities for connection and for being present with each other. And
I do think it is, because I know maybe not all the listeners can homeschool their children, and there's sacrifice and there's also circumstances and stuff. I think we've seen so many families now in our travels around the world who are living life in order. We always believe in an option C now. This is a bit of a side topic, but for all of it, I think part of the journey was to realize neither of us were powerless in this. Even in our own healing in the process, that we could choose to sit with the pain, or we could choose to go distract ourselves. Like there was a choosing in, and for the four in me, that has been a game changer, because I felt so victim to my emotions and my internal world and the external world. I feel like it's so much more grounded now. And I'm a big believer that you do have the life that you want. It just may take, like, it's not always going to be sunshine and roses. There is work to be done. And it's so fruitful and so beautiful. It's not like our life has suddenly gotten easier in the sense of, you know, we still have bills to pay and there's still life. We've got young children and we're navigating lots of things, but our internal world is slower. There is more prioritizing, reading our Bibles, and, you know, we light a candle in the morning and the kids know, okay, we're easing into a day today. Like, there are pockets in our moments that we've had to do around the world because our physical home constantly changed, that we needed to create safety and routine and rhythm.
And I like that word, rhythm, over routine, because I think routine for me so quickly becomes
performance
and performance regulation and doing, whereas a rhythm is just like, oh, that feels gentle. And that can flex and flow and change.
That's beautiful, because your pairing really speaks to a 4 bringing you to rhythms. But then, of course, the 1, when it's healthy, you're able to get her moving at all. And that was an important part of her journey, was you letting go a little bit of all the, you know, power and control that just comes from being the mover and the shaker, and her getting up and embracing her own power. But then, you know, of course, she's still going to go back into 4 rhythms sometimes and bless you with that. But then you're going to bless her right back and say, but there's a part of me that, although I know I don't have to be performative now, I still get to serve God with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength. So I am still going to do something. And I love how you're using that now more thoughtfully, so that things are more balanced. And I love how you spoke to a lot of our listeners here. They're not able to travel every day. They're not able to do that. And you're back in Australia now, but you are saying we have different iterations of marriage if we choose to grow. And I've heard you guys say you're on your 3rd marriage together right now, even though it's the same spouse, right?
Oh man, it was such a beautiful realization, seeing that. And I think it spoke as well to the deepening of like even understanding what marriage is. I think I heard it described a while ago. It's like a young couple, when they're getting married, they're not actually in love. They're just in love with love. In love with the feeling of love, and that's precious and beautiful and
necessary.
And I could totally see that in our, like, when we first got married. And then it shifted dynamically for us when we had kids, and we had kids pretty early on in marriage. Like, it was, I think, 9 months in, we got pregnant. And so 18 months after getting married, we had our first daughter. And Kelsey had pretty significant postnatal depression after both our girls. And so the dynamic went from kind of the fun young couple to just getting through the days and doing life in kind of very mundane and very simple, and having to strip a lot back because the capacity was so limited. And which, again, was a massive shift for me, going from kind of, I can do all things. I can have the fun and do all the work things and have marriage and have the kids, and slowing that right down was, it's funny looking back even and seeing how instrumental that was in being able to step into this process. Because if we hadn't walked through that, I think that I wouldn't have been able to slow down enough in this moment or in the last 3 years to get to a place of being at peace. There would have still been, well, I've got to do more whilst we're doing this, and I can still do more, and of course I can. And
but it speaks to the seasons, and I have so much. I think there's so much we can do in all the seasons, but it's okay if the season is survival right now. I think we've learned to love our protectors as well, and the way that, you know, even the unhealthy ways we've shown up because they were serving us in a way. So it's this beautiful mix of the ownership and the compassion that really has transformed our marriage. I think I know more about my body now, like looking back when I had really bad postnatal, of the shame spirals, or like, you know, that's typical for a 4, I guess, but we all have those deep wounds that I couldn't sit with. But if I had just taken a minute to like acknowledge it, that would have probably eased some of it. So hindsight, right? But to the listeners, I just think it's okay wherever you're at, right? Like, there is power in the presence and power in the journey. And you don't get to where you are now without walking through that. So I think it can be so much more beautiful and less high stakes maybe than what we make healing out to be.
Which is funny. I was thinking of the analogy with our kids as well. And we've had so many people like over the years been like, oh, when they turn 3, it's just awful. Or when they're teenagers, or I just loved it when they were babies, or when they're 6, it's so easy. And it's like, stuff all that. Like every moment with them is just precious. Like yes, there's hard, and yes, there's beautiful and good, and but every stage we've sought to embrace with just joy, because it is like it's just different.
The same with marriage. Yes, exactly.
With marriage.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
Yeah, and so like you say, we're on our 3rd marriage now, so we actually renewed our vows in Scotland last year.
It was so good.
The most precious days. Like,
feel emotional thinking about it. Don't you cry? We'll all end up crying.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So vulnerable and messy, and like I had no shoes on, and
we're like on these Scottish hills above a lake.
We just hiked up with our good friends who end up being over from the States. She's a pro photographer in the States, and have walked through the journey with us. We've had probably 2 main couples who have just sat on the end of a phone, we're in the middle of the Sahara Desert or in Turkey somewhere, or wherever they're
on a Zoom call like this, and they're watching us just sobbing on the other side.
That was key. But she was there, and our other best friends had come over from Australia. They weren't there for that, but they met us that night, and it was such a tender moment to just reflect on everything, like to celebrate the process.
Yeah.
And you never make it right. Like the healing's never done.
Yeah.
But
it was a declaration of that choosing in. That I see you, and I more truly see you now than I ever have done, knowing that I'm going to more truly see you in a few more years than I ever will do.
Yeah.
And I want you.
Yeah.
I choose you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I feel like you're just so far ahead of where a lot of couples are. And I appreciate your humility to say we're on the journey. So I'm hearing both and I'm hearing that we need couples support around us and intentionality. And it doesn't have to be perfect and all these things that some of our 1 listeners might think, or our 4 listeners might have thought, honestly, it needed to be romanticized. And so thank you for spelling that out. What would you say to somebody who's a little earlier on the journey, just maybe a couple of words for them if they're there and they're like, okay, I'm trying to do my work, but I'm not sure where to start? You said, hey, you can start from where you are today, but what's one thing you would encourage them to do?
I always think, like, I look back at the beginning and it was this awareness of how I was reacting to the world around me. So it was getting curious. Okay. That's at least where it started, getting curious over what I was losing it at everybody at. And sitting in that moment and backtracking to understanding, okay, how's it showing up in my body? What emotions, naming my emotions. And then it was really, often there is a hook from our childhood or a past experience. It was understand, like, okay, yeah, this did happen when I was younger, and it could be so little and seemingly insignificant, but it was sitting with that and then understanding, there was a little kid there that just really wanted to be seen, and I'm an adult now and I get to see them and I get to invite Jesus into that space and heal it. That process did not include Tom. It didn't require anybody else except for me and Jesus. That started the deep healing. But I would say, and I feel like so tender imagining that, like me just 3 years ago, yesterday maybe, just it's okay. Like, you're actually going to be okay. And I really believe that, like, God is so faithful and kind. And a big part of it as well, just seeing the gratitude around us and the safety around us. Just noticing the sun. It's so simple, like going out on the grass for a minute. One thing we do as a married couple, which I think about all the time, every night we put toothpaste on whoever goes in there first. They put toothpaste on the other's toothbrush. And I bring it up because no matter how bad a fight it's been, how dysregulated we are, there is this one practical, intentional thing that happens. If it doesn't happen, it's really bad. It's been this reminder. You'll do it. And I have just been really difficult to live with that day. And I'll go in there and I'm like, oh, he saw me, even if it was so little.
Yes.
It is the little, I think it is the little habits and moments that add up to the big stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
What do you
beautiful.
say to that?
Yes.
It's funny thinking about it, because I've loved watching your process, and you've been so ready to lean into those deep emotional spaces, whereas for me it's been like,
so scary.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What is that? So I actually started, like, the initial thing that led me into a lot of this space was going, I need to learn to understand people better, so I'm going to do some courses. And so started psychoeducating myself around how can I better help people and better understand and better be able to communicate and better be able to get behind, like, what the surface issue is. And it ruined me.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Because I started applying it to myself, and admittedly some of the coursework that I was doing was really good at going, no, self-application is the key here. And so as I started kind of, and I just look at God going, oh man, you're funny, like, and presenting the right things at the right time.
Yeah.
Because it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago that I started doing some particular coursework from a group out of the States, and it just started unraveling a little bit, and then I went a little bit deeper, and it unraveled a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's not about getting to this stage where we're at right now. It's just that gentle, okay, I'm going to learn a little bit about how people work, and then I'm going to learn a little bit about how I work, and then a little bit about, oh, that's curious that keeps showing up, and then this is going on. And that's where we've loved the Enneagram as well, and dived into it because it's such a beautiful structure for understanding yourself and the relationships around you. And then even being able to look forwards and go, oh, there is hope. Like, I find it so hard to have fun and to step into creativity, but that is actually that is the direction that I'm going to go as we heal more and integrate more. And it's
the bravest thing Tom ever could have done, and it hasn't felt like this much of the time because it feels like you blew up our life by falling apart. It wasn't his fault, but was to understand yourself and your story. Like, it's the tenderness in you now, and it's not a weakness. Like, it's so much stronger and way more attractive because you know more who you are, and there's compassion for it. That's so beautiful. And you see the Father's heart in that, in how he looks at us with the tenderness and all of that. It all plays together. There is just so much hope. It's actually so good at the end of the day. And no matter what you're walking through, it's going to be okay. It really is, you know?
Yeah, as it is. And I like that you just told everybody that you gave them hope, because you know that little 1% making that attempt to get curious or to take a little course that you know you've been looking at and that you might need. Even if you start like Tom did, it might even be that you think you're going to help others and then you get the help, or doing the internal family systems work or the Enneagram, just bite by bite, you're taking a step toward health and healing. And I hear that so strongly as a thread, rhythms, and don't feel like you have to, Rome wasn't built in a day. It didn't unravel in a day. Recommit to each other, love and serve each other, serve God. Oh my gosh, you guys are such a gift to us. I was hoping that people, because I know people are now on the edge of their seats, like, how can I follow them? You have hundreds of thousands of people following you, but you also coach others. Can you tell everybody about how they can connect with you and your work? Because I know they're thinking that right now.
Oh, you're so kind. Yeah. So we are known as the Whole of Us on Instagram. That's our main platform. So you can always reach out there. Otherwise, we have our website. What is it? Do you know?
thewholeofus.com.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. And I am doing life consulting. Tom's still in a process of deep healing, and he has had burnout. So he's off still. He's the stay-at-home dad, and I'm working. But the dream is we work more together. So there is a lot of conversation, but it is really just sitting with people in their story, helping them understand how trauma and pain is showing up in their bodies, and then inviting love in. And it's not we don't have to go through all your biggest traumas. It's so much more gentle. And so my background is also nursing, and I've done mental health studies. My background is specifically emergency nursing, and then all the other little courses you pick up and do along the way. But we have such a heart for people, particularly marriages, actually, because we know what it's like to hit rock bottom. And it can feel so hopeless, and it's just not. But it feels like that. It's lonely.
Oh, yes. And thank you for just encouraging everyone who is like, well, my partner won't do the work. And you're reminding them you start for yourself.
Yes.
It will help your family system. And it has trickled down so much to your girls and to now our world. So thank you guys so much. And of course, everything's in the show notes too. But thank you for your beautiful story and sharing it with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. What an honor. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm so grateful. Now you see why I love Tom and Kelsey so much. Their beautiful marriage glow, still doing their work. And also, don't forget to check out everything they have to offer in the show notes. I love that Kelsey is coaching. I love that you can also check out the Soul on Fire. I love that you can also check out the Ennea Summit on midlife and beyond. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you again for listening with us. It was so wonderful to have you. I love knowing we're doing this journey together, not perfectly, but with love, grace, and hopefully some fun too. If you loved today's episode, make sure you leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcast or Spotify so others can find it too. Visit our show notes so you can get all the links from today's show, as well as enneagramandmarriage.com, the Instagram, the Facebook, and all over the place. Make sure you spread the word. Love living intentionally with you. Bye-bye.